So, Dr. Cole, would you please start by explaining to us how you're managing such large numbers of patients in the medical ICUs?
Sure. So prior to us actually entering the pandemic situation we find ourselves in today, we have had nursing staffing shortages throughout the country, of course. And our normal grid for taking care of ICU patients is usually 2 patients to 1 nurse, unless they're extremely critically ill and it'd be a 1-to-1. However, with large volumes of patients coming in, and we are in the middle of our surge, we have found a necessity to create a plan that we would use as we got to different stages of surge. So I've got some slides for you that will be published on the web, and I'm going to hold them up. First thing we did before we even got started was determine, what would that mix look like if we didn't have enough ICU nurses to take care of the patients. So we started early in getting our team ready. We took our IMC or step-down nurses, our patient care unit nurses from the heart hospital, which are all that level right between ICU and med-surg nurses. So their skill mix is a little higher than med-surg, but it is less than the ICU nurse. And we offered them a basic critical care class. We also did AACN echo modules, which are online. They actually offered quite a few for free during this time to help train. And then we did some additional EPIC training for our EMR to make sure that they can document correctly. So that went over very, very well. Now, recognize that the IMC or step-down nurse also holds certifications in advanced cardiac life support, which is really important in these situations. We started out with looking at tiered staffing. So if our ratios are normally 2-to-1, we know almost certainly, especially during the wintertime, that we will probably go up grid by 1 and take care of 3 patients. However, once we exceed that, we really need to put on our creative, innovative hats. So the next tier is having an ICU nurse partnered with a step-down nurse caring for 4 patients. So I'm going to show you another slide that basically expands on this and gives you more information about how that should work. So you'll notice on the right-hand side, I've indicated why the mix of the ICU nurse and the IMC nurse. So the ICU nurse has a higher level of skill and knowledge, obviously. The IMC, or step-down RN, has a higher skill mix than a med-surg nurse. So really, if you are able to, it is better to use the combination of the ICU and the step-down nurse. And then of course, both are certified in advanced cardiac life support. Now the assignment though, looks something like this. Each of them would have 2 patients, but the ICU nurse would be the lead nurse over that 4-patient assignment. Now, by doing this, you extend the number of ICU nurses that you have available. So if I had a group of 8 patients and I only had 2 ICU RNs on, for example, I could actually manage that by pulling in 2 step-down nurses as well and provide great care. So basically, the ICU nurse is responsible for assessing each of those 4 patients with the step-down nurse. That way, the step-down nurse is also being taught simultaneously, and then the ICU nurse, then can share what triggers and parameters that step-down nurse needs to alert her with, so that they can manage the patients together effectively.